Hi, in this video we will create a virtual test environment. So we will go through these steps. First we will create a virtual test environment using VMware Workstation Player. VMware Workstation Player is a virtualization software you can use to install different operating systems in a sandbox environment inside your computer. It's very handy when you want to test different things such as software, etc. Then we will install Windows 10, SQL Server, a web server. We will install the Internet Information Services IIS on this virtual machine. And then finally we will install 2 test applications. We will install a simple web application created in ASP.NET. We will install this application on the IIS Web Server, and then after that we will install a simple desktop application, a WinForm application, inside the test environment. So first we should always create a test environment in order to test our software, and typically you set up a virtual test environment either on your personal computer or on a server. And then before you put your software into the production environment, you should always test your software inside a test environment before you deploy it to the customer. So first we will use this VMware Workstation Player. It's free. You can download it for free for non-commercial or personal use. So just go to this web site in order to download it. So now I have opened the VMware Workstation Player software. So in order to create a new virtual machine, we just click on this link. But first I can just go to my file explorer and create a new folder where I want to store this virtual machine. So I can create a new virtual machine called test environment, like this, and then I go back to VMware. Then I just click new virtual machine, and here I need to select what kind of operating system I want to install. So I can install from a CD or using an ISO file. So I have already downloaded this ISO file from internet, so I just browse for it. Find it here on my computer. I have chosen to install Windows 10 Education and a 64-bit edition. So I just find the ISO file like this and select open, and then it detects that it is a Windows 10 64-bit edition. Then I can just click next. Here I can install or type the Windows product key. In this case I'll just leave it empty. You can select different Windows to install here. I can just select Windows 10 Education. Here you can select or type a username for your computer. I'll just type test environment. Like this, and you can enter a password. I'll just leave it blank for this case. Then I just click next, and you haven't entered a product key, it says, but so you can install it later. But typically you can use Windows 10 for free, at least for a month. So in order to create this test environment you don't need a product key yet. So just leave it blank. If you don't have a product key, click yes, and then select where you want to install the virtual machine, and then I just browse to my folder, and select this test environment folder I just created, like this, and here I select the name for the virtual machine. I just call it test environment, like this, and click next. And here you can select the size of the disk. I just leave it the default 60 gigabyte. And here you can choose to put everything in a single file or in a multiple files inside a folder. So I just select or use the default. Click next and finish. And now it starts to install Windows 10 inside this virtual machine. And now it starts installing the Windows. This may take a while. And finally, after a while, Windows 10 is now installed properly inside this virtual machine. So now you can start installing the software you need. So now I will first install SQL Server, and then I will set up this web server called Internet Information Services, IIS. So first we start to install SQL Server. In this case I will install SQL Server, the Express edition, which is free, so you can download it for free on the internet. So just Google it and you can download it, and then just click the download button. So I have already downloaded this SQL Server edition, so I will just copy this file from my computer inside the virtual machine. So just open the File Explorer. Go to just create a temporary folder where I can copy this file. Just call it temp, and then copy this SQL Server edition inside. So there's one thing you need to note about. From SQL Server 2016, it's only 64 bits. So in order to use this edition, you need to have a 64-bit Windows as well. If you have a 32-bit Windows inside your virtual machine, you need to download a previous version of SQL Server. But in this case, I have installed Windows 10 64 bits, and then I can use SQL Server 2016 64 bits. So I just double click on the setup file, which I have downloaded from internet, and just click yes. And then just select a folder where these set of files will be extracted. So now we are ready extracting the files. Then this setup is popping up, and then just select this choice, New SQL Server Standalone Installation. Just select this alternative. And now this window pops up, license terms, just accept it. Yeah, check for update, and just select it. Then next, yeah, warning about Windows Firewall, but just click next. And here you should select what you want to install, so just choose the default installation, and here you can change the folder where it is installed. Click next. And here you can select the name of this instance, so just use the default name SQL Express with this instance ID. If you already have an SQL Express, you need to select a different name. Just use the default. Click next. and this pops up. Just use the default one. Here you need to select the authentication mode. So I always recommend this mixed mode, because then you can choose between SQL Server authentication or Windows authentication. So then you have all the choices you need if you select the mixed mode. And then you need to enter a password for the system administrator user, SA. So enter a password for this one. I just use this test environment. And then click next. And then it starts to install the necessary features. Then we are soon finished with the installation, so complete, and all the features seems to be properly installed. Then you just click close. And then next we need to install this SQL Server Management Studio. So then in the installation we can select this install SQL Server Management Tools, but this provides just a link to the download page. So let's go to the download page. So here is the download page for this SQL Server Management Studio. You need the Management Studio in order to be able to communicate with the database using either to create tables, insert store procedures, etc. So this is a management application with a user interface which you can use to interact with the database. So just click here to download it. I have already downloaded it, so I just copy my installation files to the virtual machine. So I have the setup here. I just copy it from my host machine into this temp folder on the virtual machine, like this. And then I just start the installation. Just double click on it. And here, welcome to the SQL Server Management Studio. I just choose to install and then click yes. And finally, Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio is completed to install, and then you can just click close. And then you can open the Management Studio in order to see if everything works as expected. So just open the Management Studio. So then we need to log in to the SQL Server. And then we have this Express Edition we have installed, and then we can choose between Windows authentication or SQL Server authentication. So I choose SQL Server authentication, but you can also choose Windows authentication. But here in the SQL Server authentication, you need to use this SA password you typed during the installation. Like this, and you can choose to remember the password and then click connect. And then we are good to go. We have installed it properly, and then we can start to create our own databases here. Just right click on new database, but first we will create an example application in Visual Studio on our host computer that we want to install in this virtual environment. So here on my host computer I have created two different examples. I have created a simple web application and I have created a simple desktop application. So these two applications I will deploy them to the test environment, and also these two communicate with the database I have created here. So it's a very simple example. It contains just this simple table book, and this table I have installed in my database here locally. So this table book, and if I just select all from book, it's just a very simple table with a book ID, it's a primary key, and a book name. And in addition to the table, I have created this simple stored procedure, create book. And this stored procedure I use this stored procedure in my code in order to insert a new book inside this book table. And I also installed this stored procedure in my database, so you can find it here. Programmability, stored procedure, and this create book. So I have this book table and this create book stored procedure. And I have created these two. So I have created a table script and a stored procedure script, and then I have put both the table and the stored procedure into one database SQL script, and this script contains both the create book table and the stored procedure. So then I have one SQL script for all the necessary tables, stored procedures, etc. inside this database.sql script. So I will use this later when I deploy my database to the test environment. But let's just open my test application, this book web app. Just open it in Visual Studio. So it's a very simple application. I've just created this add book user interface. So it just contains of this header 1 add book, and then I have a text box where I enter the book name, and then I have created a label called book name, and then a button, save button. So when I click this save button, the book name I create here will be stored in the database. So let's see the code for this. So here you find this event for the save button. So I just created a simple method, save book, which I have created here. The save book method. Here I create a string for the book name, a string for the connection string, and I store this connection string in my web config. So I can just open the web config, and then you find, and I have created the connection string here, database connection string, name of the server, name of the database, and the user and the SA user, and the password for that specific user. You find it here. So that's the connection string in web config, which I get here using this web configuration manager. And here I specify the name of the connection string, which is specified in this web config file. And here you find the code for saving the book, a new book name to the database. So I use a store procedure. So here I specify the name of the store procedure, and here I specify the input to the store procedure, which is in this case just the book name. And then I open the connection, execute the store procedure, and then close the connection. So that's all the code that is needed in this case. Of course, I need to include this using web configuration and the SQL assemblies. Then I can test my application. Just either click on this one or go to the user interface, add book, ASPX, and set this as a starter page, and new in browser. And then this simple user interface appears. So the title, add book, and then I should enter a book name. Create a new book called LabVIEW Programming. And then just click save. And then it's a very simple program. So when I save this one, it should be stored in the database. Since I got no error message, it should be stored in the database. But let's go to the SQL Server and see if it's stored. So then I just run this select all from the book table, execute it, and then you see this LabVIEW programming book has been created in the database. So the program seems to work as expected, and now I want to deploy this program to my test environment. So then I want just to create a very simple deployment package. Then I can just right click on the project and select publish. And then this wizard pop-ups. Here you have lots of options. You can deploy to Azure, etc. In this case, I just select custom. And here you need to enter a new custom profile and just enter the name of my application, Book Web App. Click OK. And then you have different options for deployment. I just want to have it on my host machine, so I select file system. So then I just select file system, and on my host machine I just created a folder, deployment, and the name of my application, Book Web App. So I want to create this installation package here, and then I just click on browse and select the same folder. In my temp folder I have created this deployment and Book Web App folder. Click open and then click next, and then I want to release it, so I select to release and then click next, and then it will be published in this folder. So I just click publish, and then it starts to build my solution. And now it was finished, so I just open this folder, and then all the necessary files has been created here. So here is my add book ASPX user interface. I have this web config here, and in the bin I have the DLL which I need. So in this DLL all the code for my application exists. So then I can just copy this folder to the virtual machine. So I just have a similar temp folder here, which I just copy my files into. So here I have all the files I need in this example. And then since I want to deploy this to the web server, this Internet Information Services, IIS, I need to first activate this web server on my computer because it's not installed or activated by default. So then I just go to search inside the virtual machine and search for Windows features. So here, turn Windows features on or off. I just select this one. And here I can turn different Windows features on or off. So in this case I want to turn on the web server, this Internet Information Services. So I find it here. So I turn on this one. In addition, I need to have this management console here, and also here. Since I have created my application with ASP.NET 4.6, I need to choose this one as well. And then this, so you need to choose here the management console and this ASP.NET 4.6, and then I just click OK in order to install these features on my virtual machine. And then it's complete. Just click close, and then I can go into the file browser, and then a new folder should appear, this inetpub, which is the default folder for the web server. And here under VV root we can put our application. So then I just find the application in temp folder, this one. I just copy this folder inside this location and click continue. And then I can open this IIS manager. I can search for this IIS manager. So just open this application. So here in this Internet Information Services Manager, I just go to these sites, default website, and then here I find my new application. I can just right click on it, convert to application, and just use the default settings here. Okay, and then it turns into this icon, which means I have deployed my web application into this web server. And then in order to test it, I can just right click and manage application and select browse. Then I need to choose which browser I want to open it in. So I choose Microsoft Edge and click OK. And now, first time you see I got this error message, and this is because my start page is called addbook.aspx. So then I need to go into this manager, select this default document, open this one, and then you see my starting page is not appearing here in this list, so I just need to add it here. So then I just click add here, click add, and then my start page is called addbook.aspx like this. So then I just click OK, and it appears in the top of this list. So now I can try once more. Right click on my application, manage application, and select browse. And now my application works as expected. But first, before I try my application to save a new book into the database, I need to create my database inside this virtual machine. So let's do that. I have on my host machine this database. So I just need to create the table and the store procedure inside the virtual machine. So I just copy this file, copy into my virtual machine. I just close this down first. Close it here under temp. Sorry, I copy it under temp. And this one, I need to open it in the Management Studio. So I just open it into the SQL Server Management Studio. But first, I need to create the database itself. So I just right click on databases, new database, select a database name. So here I can use the same database name as I used in the development environment, or a different one. I just choose to call it book database, like this, and click OK. And then it appears here. And then I can install this script. So first I need to select my new database here. And then I have the table and the store procedure. So I just click execute here, and then you see my new book table has been created, and my store procedure has been created. Next, I need to open my web config file. I can just open it. Since this web config is just an XML file, I can open it in Notepad. And then I need to change my connection string. So I make the necessary changes. So the server, you find the server name here in SQL Server Management Studio. So this is desktop, etc. /SQL Server. So this is the server name. So this is the server name, the name of the database. I created this bookdb database name, and the user identification is SA, system administrator, and the password, which I created earlier in the Management Studio during the setup of SQL Server, just test environment, and the provider system.data.sql client, like this. Then I can just save it. And typically I don't have access to this www root folder, so I can just, from Notepad, so I can just save as and go to temp and save it here. Like this. And then I can just copy it in later. So then I just copy this new web config file into the web server location, like this, and replace, and continue, like this. So now our system should be up and running with the new connection string in the web config file. Then I can go back here to the Internet Information Services Manager. I can right click and browse. So then I can test my application to see if it works properly, and just enter a new book here. I can use the same as earlier. LabVIEW programming. Like this, and just click save. And then I can go to my SQL Server and just type this SQL command, select all from book, and execute. And then you see this LabVIEW book has been created inside the database, and this means that our application, this simple web application with a database communication, has been deployed and works as expected within my test environment. So that's how you create a working test environment and deploy a simple web application. Next, I want to just show that you don't need to put your application into this folder. So in this case, I've just created a folder on the C drive, called it examples. And here I have copied my application, book web app. I've just added example here, so book web app example, like this. And inside here I have my application. I want to deploy this application to my web server, so then I just go to this IIS manager and just right click on default website, add application, and just enter an alias. Since I already have this book web app, then I create a new alias called book web app example. And then I select the physical path, click to browse on my examples folder, and choose this book web app example and click OK. and then click OK here, and then I see I have this new web application deployed here, and then I can just do the same, manage application and browse, and then it works as expected. Next, I want to deploy a very simple desktop application. So here on my host computer, this book desktop app, I've created a very simple WinForm application. So I just open the Solution Explorer for this application. So this application is very similar to the web application, but instead of a web page, this is a desktop application. So I created this form 1, and the user interface is almost identical. It's created this form, and this label, and this text box, and this button. So when I enter a new book name here and click save, it should be saved in the database. So let's see the code for this application. So it's almost identical as the web application. So in the button click event, I have created this save book method, which is implemented here. So here in a desktop application, you need, or you should typically store your database connection string in, not in web config, but in app config. This is similar as web config, but app config is for desktop application. So here I have created my database string, which is identical as the previous web application. So you have the name of the server, the name of the database, the SA user, and the password for the SA user. So that's the app config, and our user interface is like this. The code is almost identical as the previous example. So I have used this similar or the same store procedure called createBook with one input, this book name. And then I have created this string book name, and then the input from the text box is copied into this variable and put into this parameter on the store procedures. So let's test this application. Just click start. And here you see this simple user interface. Let's just enter a book. Something like this, advanced C# programming, and click save. And then we go to our SQL Server Management Studio, select all from book, and then you see this book has been created in the database on our host computer. So our application works as expected, and now we want to deploy this application to the test environment. And then you see here in the top we have when we develop the application, we typically use debug, and then we can choose release, and then just build our application or solution, build our solution, and then we can go to the folder where we have created the application, and then in the bin and release we have this executable application. So this is what we need to copy to our, so you can just copy this whole folder to our test environment. So I just copy this one and copy it into our virtual machine. I'll copy it here under the same place in examples. So just copy it. I can call it book desktop app or something. So I also need to copy this app config file. So I need to copy this one as well. Just copy it in the same folder like this. So here is my release folder on my host computer. I have just copied these files into my on a folder on my test environment. So here are the same file here. I just copy them into the test environment, into the virtual machine. And for desktop application, I don't need to copy this app config. Remember, when using a web application, you need to have the connection string in the web config. Here in the desktop application, you don't need the app config when deploying the application, because in the release folder there is a desktop app.exe.config, and inside this file you find, since it's just a XML file, you can just open it in Notepad, and here inside this file you will find a copy of this connection string. So you just change it according to the database settings you are using in the test environment. So the server name, the database name, the SA user, and the password, like this. And then you are good to go. You can just start your X application. Like this, and then you can enter a new book name. Control theory or something, and just click save. And then you can open your database and see if everything works as expected. You can just type this query, select all from book, and then you see the book control theory was added in this book table. So let's summarize. I created two applications on my host computer, a desktop application and a web application, and I have deployed these two applications to my test environment, which I have created in using VMware Workstation Player. For the web application, I also needed to install or activate the web server on inside the test environment, this Internet Information Services, IIS. And for both applications, I needed to install SQL Server, and to install or create a database, and also to install the tables, store procedures, etc. So now I have two working applications, one web application and one desktop application. So that's all. So good luck creating your test environment and to deploy your applications within this test environment.